I have these 28 by 11 plank boards that I picked up from Michael's. They have a hanger and I have two. I'm going to start by priming the boards, and I'm going to use a white primer because I do want to lighten the board at the same time, but I want to make sure I'm not getting any stain. So I am using our white primer by Wise Owl and a Gen foam brush. And I did this on both boards. Because there was a stain to this board, I wanted to make sure I blocked that stain from seeping through my project. I'm going to now use our 1 hour enamel by Wise Owl in matte finish, and I'm going to put a full coat all over the board. And I'm going to do this on the second board as well. Remember, I have two of these boards. And I'm going to allow them to dry for 1 hour. Without the 1 hour enamel down first, you're going to have trouble attaching your transfer. Once dry, we're going to use America from Redesign by Prima. It's one of our transfers. You can find this at chalkitofancy.com. The size of it is 25 by 35 and a half. So it's a very large transfer. And I'm going to be using both boards. I'm going to start with the first one. I'm going to give my board a good sanding, but you want to make sure that you clean your board very well from any sand dust, as your transfer will have a difficult time sticking. You need a very clean surface. And it was just a very light sanding. I just want to make sure I didn't have any raised areas of paint or anything like that. So you're going to pull it off of its protective backing. I'm sorry this is so large. I had to take it out of the camera to pull the rest of it off. You want to be you want to have a plan, because the minute this touches that board, that's the end of it. So you may want to have a second hand to help you. Make sure that you get it even, because there's no pulling it back up. That's probably going to be the hardest part about applying a large transfer like this. So every transfer has a stick inside the tube, and I'm going to start by rubbing my stick all over my project. I spend a lot of time doing this because I want to make sure I don't miss any areas. And because there's slats, I want to make sure that I run along each edge of the slat to release the transfer to those areas, because it's not going to stick in between. So you want to make sure that you kind of break the image all around the edges where it needs to be broken. And that's in between each slat. And once you feel like you've really rubbed each area well with your stick, I do back and forth, but then you got to do these like small little rubs. You can start trying to release your film. Now this is a really good transfer to show you what I mean, but as you're pulling back from the film, you could start seeing that where it's releasing starts to turn white. That's when you know your transfer is pretty much ready to be pulled back. I do this very slowly as I'm rubbing. If I feel any resistance, or if I see that the image is coming back on the film, I lay it back down and continue to rub. And again, I'm going to do this throughout my entire project. Until it fully releases. Now this next step is very critical as well, so you don't have any cracking or peeling later on down the road. Couple things too. Your first coat of paint that we did before the transfer, I always try to wait overnight. You really want that to be completely dry, especially if it's a primer or paint. If you're going to use something other than Wise Owl, I cannot give you advice on that paint. I'm not saying that other paints can't be used. Just know, ask a lot of questions and know what you're working with. But using the Wise Owl and the 1 hour enamel is what we recommend for good success. And as you just noticed, I took my cloth and I rubbed my transfer, and I spent a lot of time doing that, rubbing and rubbing and rubbing. It's called burnishing. And then after my transfer is on, I then wait 24 hours to make sure I'm not getting any lifting before I move forward. So this is really just, making sure everything is laid down. So now my second board, I really want to make sure that my stars, because it just shows the tip of the stars on the second transfer, match up. And again, I'm going to go through the same process. I'm going to speed through because you're not going to want to watch me completely. Remember, I've rubbed. Then I used my stick to make sure I hit every area. I'm pulling back the film. And then I am burnishing my project. Very, very important step. I'm going to wait 24 hours. I am going to connect these two, but I'm going to do that in a little bit. I'm going to use my angle brush, my 2-inch angle brush by Wise Owl. I believe you can find that on our webpage. I'm going back to the 1 hour enamel. Guys, our varnish does not do well with the transfers. It's the 1 hour enamel before and after the transfer. And I'm just going to give this one coat. You don't want to overwork it. And then give it time to dry. And I applied the 1 hour enamel on both pieces. And once dried, I attached the two using a bracket that looks like this. Guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. For other tutorials, go check us out on YouTube. You're not going to watch all our videos at chalkitupfancy.com. For paint products, transfers, tissue paper, or mesh stencils, chalkitupfancy.com. Thank you so much.